Welcome back to HQ Spotlight. We're just a little over a week away from the 2025 trade deadline coming up on November 4th. As contenders look to boost their championship rosters, others look ahead to the future. The Denver Broncos have been the beneficiaries of big trades in the past, most notably John Elway, who of course led that team to 2 Super Bowls. 2025, though, has been all about the defense. You see the numbers on your screen where the Broncos rate in relation through their first 7 games on a historic pace. We know the offense could use some work, though, some inconsistency with Bo Nix behind center. Certainly could maybe use some moves to help them out if they're going to be a championship team. So for more on the trade deadline moves in Denver, we welcome in our NFL writers Sullivan and John Breech to the program. Gentlemen, we're taking a look at 5 moves the Broncos could make before that November 4th deadline. As we know, the Broncos are facing my Cowboys and their dreadful defense on CBS this Sunday. So we're going to attack the offensive side of the ball first. And Tyler, a trade that you're looking at involves another awful team in the Dolphins. Jaylen Waddle, a potential trade target here. Tell us more.
Yeah, again, if you're the Dolphins, you kind of have to look yourself in the mirror and say, all right, looks like Mike McDaniel's days are numbered. We don't know what we're going to do at quarterback, maybe reset the entire organization. Is Jaylen Waddle really going to be a part of what could be an entire organizational reset? And if not, and I'm going under the assumption that they should look to move him, you could get some serious capital for him. And the Denver Broncos are one of those teams that would be ripe to go after that type of impact player and give up significant assets. I'm talking about a 2026 first-round pick in terms of trying to get Jaylen Waddle out of Miami, and I think it makes a lot of sense for a team like the Denver Broncos because, again, Courtland Sutton, no doubt about it, a #1 wide receiver, but Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin haven't really answered the bell as that #2 option. Evan Ingram at the tight end spot hasn't really been that pass-catching threat that we all thought he could be going into this season, and if you're the Denver Broncos, the one reason why you might be able or willing to give up a first-round pick is because this is a player that's under team control for a long time. He signed a contract extension in 2024, and that's only going to look more manageable. His AAV is around $28 million per season. The wide receiver market's gone crazy, so it's a much more palatable number over the next few years as well.
Very interested to see what the Dolphins even look like this week. There's been rumblings of potentially benching Tua, and we know that Jaylen Waddle has not lived up to his potential. Just 3 touchdowns so far in 2025 for him. Let's continue the wide receiver talk, though, John. Jakobi Meyers, another name. He was very honest at the beginning of the season, saying, I want to trade. He has doubled down on that ahead of this week, saying he still for sure wants to be traded. Why would he be a good target for Denver?
Well, when you have a guy who absolutely wants out, I think it's time to just trade him. Just suck it up and let him go. He does not want to be in Las Vegas. He wants to be playing for a different team. He has made that absolutely clear. And when you look at the Broncos, I think Tyler and I obviously agree that they need to make a play for a receiver. If they don't want to give up a first-round pick to go and get someone like Jaylen Waddle, maybe you think about giving up something like a third-round pick to get Jakobi Meyers. It's a little bit cheaper, but someone who can instantly help you out on the field. You look at what the Broncos have. Courtland Sutton is good, but he's 30 years old. He could use some help. And I know Denver was hoping that either Tony Franklin or Marvin Mims would kind of emerge and be that #2 receiver. And although they've been productive, that just simply hasn't happened. So the Broncos, you call up the Raiders. Now, this is an in-division trade. These two teams are division rivals, so maybe this deal doesn't happen. But if you're the Raiders, look, beggars can't be choosers. This is a team that's 2-5. They're going nowhere. This is where you blow things up and start over. You have a fire sale. If you have guys who want out, you let them leave, and you get some draft picks in return so you can build the roster down the road. So if that's why I would make the call if I'm the Broncos, even though they might be a little afraid of what the Raiders say when they answer the phone.
Hey, I mean, we've already seen an in-division trade already this year between the Bengals and the Browns with Joe Flacco. So anything is possible. Of course, Jakobi Meyers in the final season of a 3-year deal that he signed, he was not able to reach an extension in the offseason. Okay, so it's very clear that we are in on the wide receivers in Denver to make a difference. So, Tyler, if those other 2 options don't work out, Jaylen Waddle and who was our other one that we were looking at, Jakobi Meyers, you were also looking at Chris Olave, a potential good target to fill that wide receiver spot in Denver.
Haley, you get a receiver. John, you get a receiver. Everybody's getting receivers here. We're just putting everybody on the block, and that includes Chris Olave, because he is someone that I think is probably a little bit more realistic than Jaylen Waddle. And Jakobi Meyers, I agree with you, Breech. I think that he is someone that certainly would be on the move. Do they make that in the division? I don't know. I think that Olave might be a more realistic, kind of attainable wide receiver considering all those other factors. And I would give up a second-round pick for him. And very similar to what I was saying with Waddle, Olave is another player that's under team control, not just for this season. This is not a rental acquisition. This is someone that is signed through 2026. You might want to sign him to an extension this offseason if you do make a deal for him, but you can cross that bridge when you get there. In the meantime, this is a wide receiver that, when healthy, can take the top off the defense. He's gone back-to-back games with 50-plus catches in each of them, and you look at what he's able to do, possibly opposite of Courtland Sutton. I think that complements one another really well, and you would think that he might have some crossover with Sean Payton with his days in New Orleans. That's not the case, but I still think that he would fit quite well into that offense.
All right, so it is very clear we want a wide receiver out in Denver, so I hope the Broncos are listening. You just gave them 3 really good options, but I want to talk about the offensive line next, guys. I was looking at the numbers. Bo Nix has been sacked 8 times. Not bad this year, especially when you look at some of the other guys. Cam Ward has been sacked 30 times in 2025, but still, John, you are looking at a potential offensive lineman trade here when it comes to Denver.
Yeah, if you're going to add these wide receivers, you got to make sure Bo Nix has some time to throw the football. And right now, the Broncos' offensive line is a little bit beat up, and I'm looking specifically at the left guard position. Ben Powers was their starter at the beginning of the season. Well, they just put him on injured reserve a week or 2 ago, and he's going to be out until at least December. Now, you throw in their number 2 left guard. He just got placed on injured reserve. So now you're down to your number 3 guy in Denver. So the question, if you're the Broncos, is, are you comfortable throwing a 3rd-string left guard out there, or do you go and make a deal? I think you go make a deal, and you call up the Browns and get Joel Bitonio, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. He's been in Cleveland his whole career, but he's getting up there in age. He's 34. Maybe he wants to go play for a contender. He's in Cleveland on a 1-year deal, so he might be willing to leave. The Browns might be willing to deal him away because he's probably not going to return to Cleveland after the 2025 season anyway. He would be an instant upgrade for the Broncos. We're talking about someone who has been in the NFL for a long time and has been very good in playing at a very high level for a long time. So if the Broncos can make that move, they feel like a serious Super Bowl contender.
All right, so we attacked the offensive side of the ball. We attacked wide receivers and the line. We have one more trade proposition for you both. This is our CBSSports.com play here. I mentioned the offense. We're going to the defensive side of the ball, and it seems crazy because the Broncos' defense has been off the charts this year. But the proposal here, gentlemen, and Tyler, I'll give you first word to react. They acquire the Saints linebacker, Demario Davis. He joins an already lethal unit. He's got 61 tackles on the year, 1 forced fumble. Tyler, what do you think?
I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, from the New Orleans standpoint, they are on the outside looking into the playoffs, probably in contention for the number 1 overall pick. So you would want to move off of a player that you might not deem to be part of your future. But I think that this is great in terms of building off of your strength, right? This is something where you look at the Denver Broncos, their calling card is the defensive side of the ball. You have a lot of playmakers there. So why not add another, especially when you're in a division with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs who feel like they continue to upgrade week by week by getting healthy on the offensive side of the ball. One way to slow Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce down is to bolster that defense. So I don't hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget, we were talking about, you mentioned Chris Olave was not with Sean Payton. Well, Demario Davis was with Sean Payton, so you're automatically familiar with the head coach, and I think Sean Payton would love to call up New Orleans. He knows everyone in the front office there and say, hey, look, our defense doesn't need a lot of help, but this would be an absolute upgrade for us and give us someone that we need. So I could see this reunion working out. Tyler, you hit the nail on the head. You look at the other offenses in this division. You look at Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You look at Justin Herbert and the Chargers. You need to bolster your defense whenever you can. So if this is an opportunity that the Broncos had, was to go out and get a linebacker like Demario Davis, I think it's something you have to look into and actually a deal you have to try and make happen.
It is certainly scary to think about one of the best units in all of the NFL getting better just by making one move like that. We will have to wait and see. Fellas, appreciate the time getting us set for the trade deadline coming up on November 4th. In the meantime, coming out with us on Sundays, guys, over on CBS Sports HQ, myself, Rand Carthen, Damian Harris, and Pete Prisco on Game Day Recap, reacting to all of the news from Sunday's game. On Sunday, we had Pete Prisco eat a piece of paper with hot sauce on it, so it gets a little spicy on Sundays, 8:20 Eastern over on CBS Sports HQ.